Hello, this is Pat Lynch, and you are listening and watching the Career Pathways podcast, where we bring you interviews with Lyon faculty, Lyon staff, our outside business community, and just all kinds of cool people. And this podcast, speaking of cool people, we're going to be interviewing the Tommy Newton. T-Newt?
T-Newt.
T-Newt, yes. And so he's our vice president of admissions, and we're going to kind of explore all things around college admissions. But first, we have to have a couple of hellos, okay? One is, who's behind the board making the magic happen?
Producer Cheyenne.
Oh, and then we actually have an audience member. Come on up to the mic, okay? And say hello.
Hi, this is Sajani.
All right, Sajani?
Yeah.
Okay, I say it's Sajani, and you're probably rolling your eyes all the time saying that.
No, it's Sajani, but then, yeah.
Stupid Americans call it Sajani, yeah, and so it goes. But welcome, yeah, man. We've now doubled our audience from our last podcast.
That's pressure.
Yeah, well, it's the popularity of the guest. Well, Tommy, thank you for coming on. All right, first thing we always start with is just tell us about yourself. Just kind of where you're from and kind of your path that led you to Lyon College.
Sure. So thanks, Pat, for having me.
Yeah.
I'm super pumped to be on this podcast. This is my first podcast. Mm-hmm. I listen and watch a bunch of them, and so it's kind of fun to be on the other side. I'm a native Texan, but there's more. And the more is that I'm an Army brat. My parents met in the service. Mm-hmm. My dad was from Houston, Texas. My mom was born in Neptune, New Jersey, raised in Freehold.
All right.
Went to the same high school as Bruce Springsteen, who lived down, kind of down in town.
All right. Yeah,
the boss,
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Back in those days, and through, I think, into the 1970s, the women's service was separated from the men's service.
Yeah.
So she was a WAC. She was Women's Army Corps. Mm-hmm. My mom was Wiggity Whack. And my dad was a sergeant. So back in those days also, if one of a couple that got married were in the service, two of them were in the service, one of them had to get out.
Oh,
so my mom retired, became a homemaker, and had other jobs out of the home as well. And my dad, kind of went up the chain.
Right.
So I'm a native Texan because my father was back from Vietnam, found some kind of a rule in the book that said that he could go to school full time to complete his bachelor's degree. Mm-hmm. He had picked up hours at different places, got his associate's degree at University of Maryland, College Park, and was wrapping up his bachelor's degree in the summer of 1872,
Mm-hmm.
kidding, 1972. Yeah. And my brother was 5, my sister was 3, and I was about to pop. And so my mom was flown down. The Army doctors kind of lied on the deal, took a commercial flight down to Houston to my dad's mom's house.
Yeah.
And I was born on her birthday.
There you go.
So that's my Mimi Newt, and we shared birthdays. She was lived to be 99, so we had a lot of years that we shared a birthday together. Anyway, all that to say, I was born in Houston. I am a native Texan.
Yep.
However, when I was 6 weeks old, we went back to join Dad, and Dad was at Fort Meade in Maryland.
Yep.
Stayed there for a few years, moved up to Indiantown Gap, Pennsylvania, which is really great. I spent the bicentennial there, as I recall. I just turned 4. We spent 6 months at Fort Bliss, or formerly Fort Bliss, in El Paso for Sergeant Major Academy. And then my dad was named a Command Sergeant Major at Fort Shafter. So he was an E9. He was the top of the grunts, who I remember in Waikiki being on the beach on the weekends, and he was doing correspondence courses. Yeah. This was pre-internet, so he couldn't do them online, but they would send him the assignments, and he would do them and send them back. And so he earned his master's degree from Central Michigan University. And that is really where I thought, I've got to at least meet what my dad did. Kind of that father-son thing going on, right? I will say, we moved to all these different places, and Hawaii was where I started kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. My brother and sister attended Punahou. Punahou is an elite Hawaii private school. Mm-hmm. Barack Obama went there. In fact, my brother was a freshman when Barack Obama was a senior.
Oh, wow.
My sister was in the junior high, and I failed the entrance exam.
Yeah.
For kindergarten to go to Punahou. So
can you have it?
So I know my wife is a 5th grade school teacher, and she says that the kindergarten test is amongst the hardest tests. I appreciate that she said that. But I ended up at Red Hill Elementary School.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Lee was our principal. My first grade teacher was Molly Fujikawa. My second grade teacher was Nancy Nakamura. And these
How
educators,
can you remember all
because
these?
they were competing with surfing, bodyboarding,
Right.
beaches,
Oh, okay, right,
hiking,
yeah.
all the fun things
Yeah.
in Hawaii. And they just created such an environment. I feel like that's why I love school. It's one of the reasons why I work at school
Right.
is that I just love school so much, and they really
Yeah.
started me on that journey. My dad retired when I was going into third grade, and so he moved us back to Houston, to Spring, Texas. So it's
You
just
left paradise. Well, one paradise to another.
well, as a native Houstonian, my college roommates would say Houston's the armpit of Texas.
Yes,
so
yeah.
they'd say I moved from paradise to the armpit of
Yeah.
Texas. I will say I'm proud of Houston. It's the most diverse city in the
Yeah.
country. It wasn't in 1980 when we moved back there, but
Yeah.
it is now, and it's a great place to be. I'm glad I'm from there, but I'm glad to be in Arkansas
Yeah.
now. So settled in Spring, Texas, finished up elementary school, middle school, and high school, and thought I'm going to go off to college. I had a conversation with my dad. My brother skipped 3 grades. My sister skipped 2 grades. She graduated college at 20. My brother went to UT Austin at 16.
Like a Doogie Howser.
Yeah, we came back at 18.
Yeah.
The grades were hit and
Yeah.
miss. And so I didn't skip any grade, or I didn't
Right.
go to the private school. I didn't skip any grades. I only graduated at 17 because my birthday was the next month.
Right.
So I didn't skip anything. I was just younger for my class. And I thought, where am I going to go to school? My dad said, you should go to any school, because he knew my academics and he knew his finances. He said, you should go to any school in the state of Texas with state in the name. He was very, very specific. And so, I remember it was senior year of high school and we're about to, wear our college shirts for college week. And I thought, I'm going to go off to the school. I'm going to go off to the school. I had just started dating this young lady who was a little bit younger than me in high school. And I thought, our love is too fragile. There's no way it could sustain 2.5 hours one way, 5-hour round trip. No. So I was extremely involved in high school. I was student body president for a couple years. Yeah. And one of my favorite things to do in high school was freshman orientation for the middle school kids who were coming a week before school started, to give them all the life hacks and show them how to get around. So I went from really one of the most active and involved high school students to, at the very last minute, pulling back and not going to my university. I stayed home for 2 years and went to a junior college.
Okay.
I went to North Harris Montgomery County College District, North Harris College campus, which is now called Lone Star College. And Lone Star College is the largest junior college system in the state of Texas.
Whoa.
So I went, and back in those days, now junior colleges, UACCB down the hill, they've got all kinds of organizations. It was so fun. There's so many great things to do. But back in my day, there was maybe one club.
Well, it's a commuter school.
Sure, right. And so I went from super involved to just sitting on the sidelines, just kind of focusing on my academics.
Right.
And honestly, I think I needed a little more seasoning.
Yeah.
I think in hindsight, had I gone to a 4-year university, for me, that I think I would have flamed out. I think I would have joined the frat and partied hard. And by the end of the year, the dean and or my dad would have said, I think this experiment is over.
Mr. Blukowski, you can't go through college.
Exactly. So I feel like, although I was bored for a couple of years sitting on the sidelines academically, it really prepared me. I wasn't as serious of a student in high school. I was in the top quarter, but I wasn't the valedictorian or anywhere close. And so just kind of learning how to study for college, how college is different than high school.
Right.
So that was great. For a couple of years, I did that. Then I transferred to the place that I had planned to go straight out of high school, which was Stephen F. Austin State University, or SFA, in Nacogdoches, Texas, which Nacogdoches is the Batesville of Texas.
There you go.
It is Texas's oldest town.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I went there to SFA for a couple of years, and I do recall calling my girlfriend back home, because she was actually going to SFA as well that same semester as a first-year student. I was going to transfer in as a junior. I called her from the lobby, didn't have a cell phone. This is the 90s, so I'm in a queue of a line waiting to make the phone call.
Right.
I didn't cry, but I felt like I'm tearing up and I'm getting really upset because I've been on the sidelines for 2 years. I want to get involved. I want to make a difference. I want to wear a lot of hats.
Yeah.
And I don't think I fit in. I don't think I'm liking this. I don't know what to do, and I have no backup plan. This is the only plan. What will I do? And really, 2 weeks into school, everything settled down. Bumped into a friend, an older friend from high school in the bookstore, and invited me to a get together that weekend, and that just really helped me feel to get my legs under me at the school. So I went to SFA to finish up my bachelor's degree. And while I was there, I was involved again. And I was more involved at college than I was in high school, which is saying something. But the most favorite thing I did the fraternity life, Sigma Chi, did SGA, was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. We took care of traffic tickets. But the single thing that impacted me more than anything else was serving as an orientation leader.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at folks who work in student life and enrollment and higher education, a lot of them have a thread back to working as an orientation leader.
Okay, now I'm connecting the dots.
So what happened for me is I remembered I loved as a junior and a senior in high school being student body president, helping those eighth graders acclimate. Right. Now, as an upperclassman in college, I'm able to help college incoming freshmen and transfers. That I was a transfer, and I had a terrible time at orientation. So I'm looking out for those transfers. I'm looking out for those freshmen who look like they've got the deer in the headlights situation. I love helping people. And when I went to college, I thought I was going to go to college to become a school teacher, a secondary school teacher.
Right.
I wanted to teach civics. I wanted to teach history and government. And not be a coach. No offense to coaches, I love, but I just wanted to inspire students to love history and to be good citizens and part of the electorate and all that. And I think that's because high school, while it wasn't perfect and it wasn't easy, it really impacted me in a positive way. And I thought, I want to come back and I want to do that for a career. And then I want to be a teacher. And then I want to be the student council sponsor. And then I want to be an assistant principal. And then I want to get my master's and be a head principal, maybe get my doctorate and be a superintendent and look at all these great things I could do. And when I got to being an orientation leader in college, I realized that I really liked college students. And I do get to still work as an enrollment professional with high school students, just not the same ones every day or every week. But helping students get the life hacks of how to successfully negotiate college was like such the thing. So when it came time to graduate and I was getting certified to teach, I thought, well, I'm not going to use that because I want to recruit. And I want to recruit for my alma mater. So that's also a refrain you might hear a lot is if you are a recruiter, your first job more often than not is at your alma mater. So the guy that trained me, my coordinator of orientation and testing, became the assistant director of recruitment for the admissions office at Stephen F. And he had hired me as an orientation leader. He had trained me as an orientation leader. He liked what I was doing as an OL. And he said, you know what? I don't have an opening this year, but as soon as I do, I'd like for you to apply for a position. So I sat in the shelf. I waited tables for another 10 months or so after graduation, which felt like an extra senior year. It was great. And then as soon as the position opened up, 11 months after I graduated, I was hired as a rookie recruiter, admissions counselor, ground pounder, kind of the person that's going to all the college fairs, traveling 3.5 months in the fall, maybe 6 weeks in the spring. And I will say, I remember going to my director. There was a conference at Rice University in Houston, Texas, and it's called the Rice Institute. And it was basically an admission college counseling institute where we bring together rookie admission counselors from various schools in and outside of Texas, public and private, and then also bringing in the other side of the desk, meaning college and career counselors from high school. So you bring these two groups of people together for most of a week, and help them figure out, particularly those rookies from the college side, how do you negotiate a high school visit? What do you do at a college fair? What are the expectations from the other side of the desk? And then the conference also helps the other side of the desk do better, with their functions with parents and students and so forth. And ultimately, we're all coming together to better serve high school students that are on their college and career journey. I remember going to my director of admission and I said, sir, I would like to go to this Rice Institute. We're only 2.5 hours from there. And, and he just wrinkled his nose up and was like, no.
Yeah.
And so you don't know what you don't know.
Right.
And you know what I didn't know?
What?
I didn't know enrollment management.
Yeah.
Which came to be my career.
Right.
So I was a ground pounder.
Yeah.
I didn't have any goals.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the college goals were, let alone my individual goals. All I knew is that I'm the tip of the spear.
Yeah.
I'm going to those college fairs. So, to be crass, I would say being a recruiter, being in admissions is like being a salesperson of sorts, right? Although I don't like that connotation of sales because I feel like sometimes sales, they're trying to sell you something that you don't want or that you don't need.
Right.
So I don't think that we're sales agents, we're share agents.
Yeah, and in modern sales, it's more solution selling. So you're somebody, a high schooler, they have a dream for the future, right? And they got ambitions, they have a career goal or several career goals. And now you are there to talk to them about a possible way you can help them on that journey, right?
Right, absolutely. Yeah. So basically I was kind of flying blind as a kind of rookie sophomore recruiter into the third year. My fourth and fifth years at SFA, I actually got the job of running the orientation program. So I was in admission for 3 cycles. Right. Then I moved up to the orientation program. I got to hire and train the 40 orientation leaders, teach an Ed Psych 475 class for leadership.
Yep.
And that was great. And then I thought, you know what? I want to go to grad school because Dad has a master's, and because my brother and sister are so smart, and so exceeded all the things that I did, that I would like at least to have more credentials,
right?
Because they both have bachelor's degrees.
Yeah, so you can look down on them,
right?
In a friendly way.
Yes. So sibling rivalry.
Yeah.
So I got admitted to a graduate program at SFA, and this was before they had any tuition remission. And I got to tell you, my salary was not good at all as a starting recruiter. I couldn't afford to go to school.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get this master's. I loved my undergraduate alma mater. I thought I could get the gold watch and be here for a career. So I started looking around, and I noticed a school in Dallas, Texas, SMU, Southern Methodist University. They have tuition benefits.
Ooh.
And at that time, you could take advantage of those tuition benefits the day you started. So if you were a full-time faculty staff member, they would allow you to use this. So I thought, oh my gosh, so I got a job over at SMU, and SMU does it differently than a lot of schools. They have a central admission office. They are the folks that are deployed across the state, across the country, across the globe, and they render admission decisions. And then each undergraduate school has its own admission and recruiting office. So you might go to the business school or the engineering school or the Meadow School of the Arts, if you have a particular interest in those majors, and really get to know those faculty, observe those classes, take tours of those facilities as opposed to the general tour that you got. So it was an interesting setup. And I was recruiting Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, and East Texas.
All right.
So I had the Arklatex, included in that. So loved those territories. It was fantastic. But at SMU, that was the first place that I learned about enrollment management.
Right.
Because they brought out goals. They brought out the funnel. What is this funnel? And the enrollment funnel looks suspiciously like a sales funnel. Again, we're share agents, not salespeople. But you basically have the top of the funnel where you're trying to get what we would call prospects.
You remember us talking about this today, Sajani?
Yeah, the funnel, interest awareness.
I was talking about it in B2B marketing. And
So there's this funnel, and at the top of it, you've got prospects. Prospects are people that might be interested. I jokingly would call them suspects.
Sure.
Because they don't even know they're interested yet. And so one practice that I was kind of surprised by, but is a standard practice in the admission field, is purchasing SAT, ACT, advanced placement, and other test score names. Right. So if you remember being, a junior or senior in high school, and you might have taken the PSAT or the SAT, and then all of a sudden your mailbox,
Fills
your
up.
snail mail box was full. Now your email inbox is full. Like, how did these, and sometimes I will get an email reply from a campaign. They'll say, how did you get my name? And it's like, well, we bought you for 58 cents.
Yeah.
Because that's the going rate. And when you signed up and filled out your ACT or SAT form, it said, hey, and y'all can sell my stuff. So basically, we'll get the enrollment funnel and we spend a good amount of budget in getting names.
Yep.
And you're not just buying random names, right? You're trying to buy a certain band of test score that would be a success at your school. You can drill down to gender. You could drill down to academic interest, career interest, in-state, out-of-state, public, private. So you can really kind of be better stewards of the funds of the budget that you have to try to buy names that would be a good fit, that would be interested, and ultimately be seated, but really just go down to the next level, right? So you have these prospects or suspects, and what you're trying to do is to communicate with them, email, text messaging, geofencing, in any way that we can to see if they will raise their hand. And if they're a hand raiser, they progress down the funnel. They're no longer a suspect or a prospect. They're an inquiry. There's someone that says, tell me more about the campus tours, or let me set up a campus tour, or here's my test score, here's my high school transcript, something for us to look at. So we go, oh, they've raised their hand. Now that you've been a hand raiser, we're going to try to get you as a senior to become an applicant. Right. So it's further down that funnel of saying, okay, I've not just raised my hand, I've raised my hand, we've had some back and forth, and I think that this might be a good fit for me for college, so I'm going to make my application. Well, just getting an application isn't enough. You have to have a completed application to render a decision. So an incomplete application does us no good. So then you're on a campaign of trying to get that applicant completed. Once you got that, you can render the decision.
So they apply, but they may not have the essay. We look at their scores, their GPAs, the transcripts. Traditionally, through my career, I've worked at schools that required test scores and looked at GPAs and or rank. Some of them were very cut and dry. Some of them were holistic approaches that were a little bit more opaque. Here in Arkansas, prior to COVID, there was really only one college that had already declared they were going to be test optional, test blind. That was Hendrix College. And with the advent of COVID, pretty much everyone has gone that way. And that test blind means what?
Test blind means that we do not require test scores for admission purposes, that we can render an admission decision that your file for admission, your application can be complete without a test score.
So with a high school transcript?
Yes. So we, with the lack of a test score, we really go deep on that high school transcript.
Got it.
So most of the colleges in the state, aside from Lyon, will really look at your transcript, your high school transcript face value GPA. Whatever it is it says that number is, that's it. We note that here at Lyon, but we go deeper. So when you're in high school, you're taking lab science, social science, foreign language, math, English, maybe athletics, maybe arts, some other elective type things. And so all the other colleges, for the most part, are looking at all of those grades as your high school transcript GPA. We say, we're going to take out those electives. We're going to take out those classes in arts and athletics. We believe that arts and athletics are very important. We have a fair number of athletes who attend Lyon College. Art is one of our top majors at Lyon College. But we are trying to read the tea leaves. And again, our goal at Lyon College is not to just fill seats of freshmen or transfers. We're trying to identify and bring in students who are a good fit, who can keep the main thing, and graduate in 4 years, So that's the goal. And so by taking out, I won't say in every case that it's those are fluffy, because sometimes you make 100 in PE and you make 100 in choir, and there are other times that you don't. So there's theoretically possible that you made a C in PE because you didn't go very much, and you made a D in band, but we're going to recalculate you and pull those out. So in most cases, the GPA, the recalculated or core GPA is a little bit lower than the transcript GPA, but there are times that it's exactly the same when we recalculate it, and sometimes when it can even go up. So we're really looking at that. Transcripts, application, and those two things make you complete. Now testing, we're test blind. If you have above average test scores, send those in, and when we're doing scholarshiping, that may help us to put you in a higher level of merit award. So that's kind of a cool situation. You know, whether you submit scores for admission or not, we don't need them for admission, but we absolutely need them for placement purposes. So they're kind of a fine situation, a fine line there, but we need to know what level of English that you should be in. We need to know what level. You don't want to start in calculus if you need to be in algebra. Right. And so having test scores there for us to be able to use to show us where to set you up for classes is key.
And then you overlay athletics, because there, in terms of recruiting, there's each sport has a particular need for X number of students to kind of fill out their teams, right? So then you have to consider that as well.
We do. Well, actually, we don't have. Well, we're looking at those numbers. But what I love most about Lyon College athletics and how admissions works with them is that we're an NCAA Division III school. And what that means is we put the student in student athlete. So we don't give any money to students that are athletes because they're athletes. The money that you earn here is merit scholarship based on academics and based on some involvement in various campus activities, organizations, and so forth. But what it means, if you're at a school where it's athletic scholarships, some schools stack academic and athletics and artistic, leadership. Some don't. Sometimes you have to choose. And if you have an athletic scholarship, that scholarship it's at the discretion of the coach. It can appear because you were a walk-on and now you're a scholarship athlete. It can disappear. It can be raised. It can be lowered. What I love about D3 is that the scholarship package, the financial aid package that a student gets, a prospective student athlete gets, is an academic package.
A student is a student.
And if a coach, and this puts the onus on the coach, right? A coach has to create an environment where our student athletes want to continue to participate in that sport for the 4 years that they're here, if they're a traditional freshman student. And if they don't want to continue in that sport and they want to focus more on that double major or whatever it might be, their aid is unaffected. And so I'm a huge fan of that. But I will say, admission counselors, we're going out. We're part of the tips of the spear. The team that we have that goes out to high schools and attends college fairs. But the coaches are a huge part. I mean, they are recruiters as well. They're bringing in a large part of our student population as well. But, our best faculty are doing the same thing. Our best staff are doing the same thing. We can all be recruiters. Recruiting doesn't just start and stop in the Office of Admission. If we make the numbers, it's not because, we pat ourselves on the back. We had such a great plan and we worked the plan. Yes, we had a plan. We've worked that plan, but we employed the entire campus. There are alumni that refer students to us, right? There are neighbors that are alumni that help students think about Lyon College. There are faculty and staff that go above and beyond that allow students to come into their classes and observe a bona fide college class to see how that goes and make time for students. I mean, our professors chose to teach at Lyon College because they wanted student interaction. We're a smaller school. Average class size is around 15 or 20 students, where we know your name. We know what you want to be and what you're majoring in. We know if you're involved in an athletic endeavor or leadership activity on the campus. And we miss you if you're gone. I mean, we're small and we don't have these cavernous movie theater lecture halls. I mean, we've got some intimate spaces and a couple classes where it might be a little bit bigger, but it's got tiered seating. And it's like, if you're in the back row, you're the highest person in the class. You can't hide back there either.
And then, in addition to all that recruiting, we've really significantly increased students from outside the U.S.
Yes, we have an amazing director of international in Nicholas Patillo. This guy, he's got experience. This is what happens when experience, you can bring somebody in who's done it somewhere else before, has had success, has a vision. And this guy's got all the energy and such a great vision. I mean, he has really helped us to up our game, where we are getting students. I mean, most schools, have the majority of their international students are just international students. They're not athletes. Right. And I feel like Lyon before, BN before Nick, we had mainly athletic international students. And with Nick coming here, he's really found creative ways for us to get more fans, right? And again, we love our athletes. We want all the athletes that we have, but I love having fans, and having more fans is even better than that.
So that's pretty much then for an admissions department. You have recruiting and then enrollment management. Those are the two functions. But there's other areas too, right? Like financial aid.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the thing.
Yeah.
So go back to the funnel.
Right.
So we had our suspects or prospects. They raised their hand. Now they're in inquiry. They decided to apply. They completed. We'll talk about those that are admitted. So now you've been admitted. You've progressed down the funnel even more. And what are we trying to do with those students? We want them to submit their FAFSA.
Yeah.
The FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid.
Mm-hmm.
The vast majority of families are going to submit a FAFSA and may need some financial assistance to make college a reality. So FAFSA is very important. I would argue that if we have an admitted student who does not have a FAFSA on file at our school, at Lyon College, they're not really a serious admit. Now, it can be, first generation family who maybe they're just not as sophisticated to understand some of these things, like a second gen student might be. So it's not always, but I would say, gosh, we get concerned. We want to make sure that all of our admitted students, or as many of our admitted students as possible, have a bona fide FAFSA submitted so that we can turn around an award letter. When you're looking for the right fit for college, you're looking for the feel, you're looking for, a family fit, you're looking for an academic fit, it might be an athletic, an artistic, a leadership fit, but the financial fit is typically number one.
Right.
And so you really have no idea. If you just look at a school's sticker price, you don't really know what you're gonna pay in the bottom line line. So in order to do so, you want to be admitted to schools. You want to submit FAFSAs to those schools, and that's typically the catalyst for an institution to create a bona fide financial aid award letter, and that's what you want to slap down on the table and start to look at. Right? You might find, one of the things you'd say might think about a private school as well. Oh, it's expensive.
Right.
Look at the sticker shock. Look at that high price. Then look at the state school. Even this flagship institution is, it might be half that or 60% of that. And I would say, okay, now when you're throwing those financial aid award letters down, let's see what the net cost is going to be.
Right.
When we take out, the scholarships you might get from a state school, which, with some rare exceptions, are not as generous as some scholarship packages that you might find from private schools. So really, sometimes families are surprised to find out that, hey, wow, this school that I didn't think would be manageable for us at all is actually going to be manageable for our family.
So, and then, here it is. Okay. So it's slightly more expensive, but so then, okay, that's it being said, then what do you get by being a student at Lyon?
I think we're a small private school.
Yes.
It's not that we have things that no other college, that a big school doesn't have, right? Like they have tutoring services, they have supplemental instructors, they might have first year advisors, they might have various offices that help students inside and outside the classroom. I'm going to argue that at a small private school, it's easier to access those.
Yes.
Right. You can meet the people, you can get FaceTime. I mean, good luck going to, a flagship institution and meeting the president.
Right.
But we're here from, small town USA and we'd like to meet the president. That is not going to happen at the majority of schools, particularly those big ones, right? You come to a small school, you want to see Dr. Tavener, you want to see President Tavener. If she's here, she's going to be available.
And she's walking around just saying hello to students, and same with Provost Grafton and right on down the list.
Absolutely. And again, go back to small class sizes and faculty who care, right? If you're in a huge auditorium classroom at a big old school where grad students are taking roll and the professor doesn't know you or if you were there at all, versus a small school where we know hey, you weren't in class today, and we bump into you in the cafeteria at noon and say, missed you in class today.
Right.
So, what could we do to get you back on track? And I really feel like a small school allows, it's easier to take advantage of those opportunities, and you've got more people looking out for you.
Okay. What's next year look like for Lyon College?
Well, the last 2 years we've had record enrollment.
Yep.
The last couple of years we've also had above average retention.
Yeah.
So I'm here to tell you,
Yes.
I love great retention, right? I mean, my best friend is retention, because the more we retain, the more we recruit the right student who stays with us, the less pressure is on our team, right? For recruitment. And the worse retention is, the more pressure it is, because then you've got to fill, so the last couple of years we've experienced record enrollments. We've experienced above average retention, which means that we could, and I hate to prognosticate and tell you the number in August is going to be, or in census day, but if we are able to recruit a similar class this year as we have the last two, we are graduating kind of a smallish senior class of kind of our
last COVID.
Our last COVID class. We could be at or near the record enrollment that Lyon College has ever had. And that's our goal. Our goal is to have a three-peat in bringing in a third record class, but yet also maintaining that retention level so that we know we've got the right students at the right place at the right time.
Right.
And that's what we want to build on. There are a lot of great things happening at Lyon College, right? Starting the first dental school in the state's history in Little Rock this summer, June 30th, we'll seat 80 students. We already have 80 deposits for our 80 spots.
That's amazing. Well, first class is June, so maybe it's not that amazing. It's it's only a couple months away.
I mean, I think it is every bit amazing. I mean, to be on this journey of accreditation and getting this initial accreditation in time to open up this summer is phenomenal. That program is not a 4-year program. It's one of the few in the country that's a 3-year program. You want to talk about a fast track to dentistry in a state where we're 50th in dental care, in dental health. We are 49th in dentist to population ratio. Until June 30th, we've been the only state with a population of 2.5 million or more that did not have its own dental school. We've got a brain drain happening here in Arkansas. We have some of our best and all of our best and brightest that are dentists go out of state to get their doctorate. Tax dollars follow them. We subsidize part of that, and a lot of them don't come back. Right. So we aim at Lyon College to stop that brain drain, a better world starting in Arkansas, and in this case in Little Rock, Arkansas, at the dental school. Now, pending accreditor approval, we are looking hopefully also to open up maybe the first the first vet school, or at least the first private vet school in the state of Arkansas in the fall of 26.
Yeah, and there's also, that has a point of difference aligning with the animal shelter.
Absolutely. It would be the first dental school in the country that is co-located with an animal services department. So Cass from Cabot and the Lyon College School of Veterinary Medicine would be on the same campus. So that's a very exciting situation. And again, typically 4-year programs in dental medicine for a doctorate, and our program is also a 3. And I would be remiss if I didn't say that I hope this comes to pass with the vet school, assuming that comes to pass in the fall of 26. But already our Lyon College undergraduate faculty have approved a 3-3.
Yeah.
So if you are a gung-ho, very good future STEM student who would like to be a dentist, you could actually come to Lyon College for 3 years. And then what would have been your senior year, we'll send you down to Little Rock for the first year of the doctoral program. You have to meet certain benchmarks, of course, through your 3 years. But you do that, then your senior year is your first year in the dental doctorate. We reverse transfer you back after that first year. You graduate and walk with your class. And then you've got 2 more years down in Little Rock to get that doctorate completed.
Yeah, you starting to see that have a positive impact as far as all those the people raising their hand?
Absolutely. I would say at the onset of the genesis, the first announcement we made, We then went to Girls State, that's hosted every summer in the Capitol building in Little Rock, and we were just overrun by fantastic leaders from Girls State who were saying, "Tell me more about this program." And so now that it's actually coming to fruition, it's a very exciting time. We're the only pet-friendly college in the state of Arkansas. I mean, sometimes college is stressful, Pat. Remember way back then?
Producer Cheyenne, what you can attest to that. What's your pet's name?
Hammer. He's an orange cat.
There you go.
See, I mean, I'm just saying, some days in college feel like a week. Some weeks feel like a month. Some months feel like a semester. Some semesters feel like a year. And I think having, Scruffy from back home here with you in your dorm, boy, that just makes, a Friday night or a Saturday or a Tuesday feel that much better. We have a dog park on campus. Dogs and cats are welcome. And it just feeds right into our goal of starting that veterinary medicine school as well.
Yeah, I think we're only seeing the beginning. When the 3+3 program really hits home. Just think about what 2 years, carving off 2 years of education, the savings.
That's really such a key.
Yeah.
You're saving a year of undergrad, but you're saving a year of professional school.
Right. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, and you look at that, and it's like I'm going to, we want to definitely have people come here. Arkansas students come to our dental vet schools, stay in Arkansas, but I'm sure we're going to also get those people from out of state come here to our dental vet school and stay in Arkansas. So again, it's a double win.
It is.
Yeah. All right. This is a podcast on careers, so there's some high school out there that is involved in a lot of activities at high school. He really loves teaching. Kind of, we'll call it the junior T-Newt. Okay, and but what would be your message as far as like for a career?
Career enrollment management, let me tell you, there's something for everybody. Okay. So if you're outgoing, you're one of those types of student leaders that would say, get up and run the meeting.
Are you outgoing? I hadn't noticed.
Some would say,
okay.
Look, that can be a really great recruiter, but you know what? You don't want a team of T-Newts.
Yeah.
You do not want a team of fire hose. I'm so excited. That does resonate with some people, but there are some people that is a little too much, and so you can have a more reserved personality and still be an extremely effective recruiter. Right. So, there's that aspect of it. So there's the ground pounding, the going out and pressing the flesh, the working with parents, working with students, counselor relations, working with that other side of the desk. But there's also marketing. Right. There's also back end computer science. Oh my gosh. If you like to work with programming and Salesforce based CRMs, constituent relation management tools, there's, so you could be someone that's on a front line. You can be someone that's in the back of the house that never deals with the public necessarily. Right. We've got marketing positions, where you're creative, trying to come up with what's, talking about that funnel again. Now you've been admitted. Now you've sent your deposit. Will you be here on census day? Will you be here on move-in day? So that's what we would call trying to stave off melt. Melt is when a deposit who's supposed to be here ends up not showing up. And so there's creative activity there. There's creative activity in creating the comm flow. The emails are going to go out. What goes to parents? What goes to students? What goes to high school counselors? How can we market this in our area? How can we market this outside of our area? So sometimes there might be an in-house marketing department within, but again, one thing I would say, and I definitely talk to prospective recruiters when we're hiring, those rookie recruiters, this is a great perch to look not only at all the different jobs in admission, but now you can look at enrollment services, which includes financial aid, as you mentioned. Our associate director of financial aid is Jeff Roper. He started here as an admission counselor. He loved those conversations when he was trying to get on the funnel to get an admitted student to become a deposit student by talking about financial aid award letters, taking them through, A more educated deposit is a more solid deposit. That's what you want. And so Jeff was so good at those conversations that eventually he was like, you know what? I'd like to stop ground pounding and really lean into financial aid. And he became, a key member of our financial aid team.
And you need that expertise.
So you can look across the office of admission and financial aid and see positions there that could be good for you.
Right.
And you can look at all the jobs on a college campus. Now, I'm hoping that I get them to stay with us, particularly if they're good, but I do want them to know that, hey, there's tuition benefits that you might take advantage of. Hey, look, here's a perch to see all kinds of other areas, right? Because you could be a CPA and find a job at a college, and you could be a marketing professional, and you could be an educator. I mean, it's just so many different things that you can do. Whether you're outgoing, whether you're, more behind the scenes, there's something for you in this field. Well,
not hard to see that you really enjoy what you're doing, and we thank you all. All of us at Lyon thank you for kind of getting students interested in coming here, because I can't be thankful enough, because that makes our job so much easier. I love working with them, both in career services and teaching. So,
it's a team effort. I have to say, it's not just, again, the Office of Enrollment or the admission team that does it. It's everybody here that helps to contribute to it. I would say one thing about the career of enrollment management, and this is something that, again, as a non-nuanced rookie who didn't know anything, I wasn't really, I just lost my train. I don't know what I was... where I was going. But wait a minute. I do. I'm sorry. I lost my train. I have ADD. I don't take medicine. Here's what I was going to say. When I was that ground pounder who didn't really know about enrollment management, what I didn't know is that this really would be my career for almost 30 years. What I didn't know is that there's more in common with being a coach, a college coach, with being an enrollment manager than I ever thought. Right? So, some people stay and they coach their whole career, 40 years at Ohio State, and they've won the championships and they've done it all. And sometimes coaches move. Right? Sometimes coaches move a lot. Right. And so what I found is, there are places that will give you one season, one enrollment season, 1 year to get it together. Right. Oh, right. If you can't get it together, it's like, let's find a new coach or a new enrollment manager type situation. And there are other places that understand. You're building a culture, right? You're building a team, right? So I do think, like, at one point I'm going to be at SFA forever and get the gold watch, and then I thought I'll be at SMU forever and I'll get this gold watch, and then it's like, but I want another challenge. I've done this, now I want to try to do this on a larger scale at a bigger place or at a smaller place. So working 29 years in the Arklatex and also throughout the country. I mean, I knew Arkansas was awesome, but until we moved here 7 years ago, I had no idea how truly amazing it is. Yeah.
Well, and you're a builder, and safe to say you're quickly reaching a point where you doubled enrollment. That fair to say?
We're very close.
Yeah. That's close. I just my back of the envelope numbers. So that's quite an accomplishment, but you don't do that in one season as a coach,
right. And I feel like we have really, I have the best team that you could possibly imagine, not only in the admissions office and the financial aid office as well, so our enrollment services, enrollment management team, but my campus partners, Pat, people like you, people like Carol Langston. Yeah. And I'll tell anybody that will listen, Carol Langston is a consummate professional. Right. She gets it. Right. And she does such a wonderful job. And I just feel so blessed to be able to work with someone like her, with you, and again, with other campus partners who just, they're beating the drum and they're helping us meet those goals.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Tommy.
Thank you, Pat.
It was wonderful. And thank you to our audience. I'm so glad you joined us, and you got a PhD in admissions from Mr. Newton. It was great. I've been looking forward to this for a long time. Also, always looking forward near the close of the show for producer Cheyenne to help our audience with information on where can they find the Career Pathways podcast.
You can find us on 99.97% of all platforms, the same amount of germs that get killed with Germ-X, supposedly.
Yep. So you see, we're very professional, and we use a high level of precision. So yes, you just any of the platforms that you use, Spotify, you can see us on YouTube, Apple, all the platforms, we're there. And if you like what you heard today, what we'd really love is that you give us a review. And producer Cheyenne, if they give us a review, what would be really nice?
A 5 out of 5.
You bet. All right. So there we have it. So we'll wrap up the show for today. Thank you again for listening to the Career Pathways podcast. Come join us next week for another great show. Take care.
This broadcast is sponsored in part by Lyon College and by KILT Studios.